Hello and welcome to the Learn Live channel and to today's Higher Horizons Wellbeing Wednesday broadcast. The Higher Horizons team want to provide you with the tools and techniques to help you to become more confident, resilient and stay positive. This session will include speakers who will give talks on motivation, well-being and goal setting, including a talk from world champion skater Jenna Downing. But first, before we begin, please remember if you have a question for Jenna or any of the Higher Horizons team, please leave them in the live chat, which is situated next to the video player. Once you leave your questions, one of the team will get back to you as soon as possible. And if you want to find out more about events such as this, please click on the subscribe button just above and you can get the up-to-date information that you need. Please make sure to fill out the evaluation form for Higher Horizons so that they can help to find out what you are wanting to learn more about. The code word is Wednesday, so make sure to fill it out. I'm now going to hand over to the Higher Horizons team as they introduce the rest of this Wellbeing Wednesday broadcast. Over to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jess and I work for Higher Horizons Plus. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Wellbeing Wednesday event. We hope you find it useful and interesting. We're going to be hearing from some brilliant speakers all about confidence, resilience, goal setting and motivation. Please use the live chat to ask us any questions, and if you want to reach out to us at a different time, you can reach out at higherhorizons.co.uk/ask. And please do not forget to fill out the evaluation form at the end of today using the code word Wednesday.
Hi everyone, it's Jenna and welcome to this virtual wellbeing series. Today's session is all about increasing motivation and building resilience. Two really important traits which can support us through challenging times and lead us on the road to success. I know that I certainly would not have become a world champion without either of them. But where do we find that motivation? Where does it come from? And how exactly can we build our resilience? When I started skating, I never did it because I wanted to become a world champion. I did it because I loved it, because of how it made me feel. It made me feel happy, at my most confident. And every time I learnt a new skill or learnt a new trick, it gave me a real sense of pride. I'd learnt that trick myself. Nobody else had done it for me. And these positive feelings are what motivated me to keep pushing myself and keep progressing. I started to set myself small targets of tricks I wanted to learn. And having these targets in place helped to give me focus and motivation. Even if I would fall when learning that trick, I would pick myself back up and keep trying, knowing how happy I would feel once I had finally landed that trick. As I practiced and started to achieve these goals, I noticed I was getting more confident. So I started to set bigger goals. One of my goals was to enter a competition. Once I'd achieved that, I started to set myself even bigger goals. To become a professional skater, to become a British champion, to become a twice British champion, a European champion, and then finally a world champion. But it took me 13 years to get there. Was it easy? Absolutely not. I had to overcome lots of tough times, setbacks, challenges. I had to be resilient. I had to use my skills and strengths to bounce back through those difficult times. But I truly believe that anything worth having in life does not come easy. And it takes hard work, motivation, resilience, the ability to keep going and not give up when times get tough. And it's during these tough times when we need to be more motivated than ever. Stick to our goals and not let those failures or challenges get in the way of where we want to be. So how did I stay motivated? And how did I not let those setbacks or adverse life events get in the way of me achieving my goals? Here are some of my top tips to help build your resilience and increase your motivation. My first top tip is to find a hobby or passion that puts you in a good mood and makes you feel happy. Is there anything that you love doing? What makes you feel at your happiest? In positive psychology, there is a concept called flow. And this is when you are completely immersed in an activity. Higher levels of well-being are associated with higher levels of engagement. So when you are completely immersed in an activity that you enjoy doing, that's when you're going to feel at your best. Is there anything that you're so passionate about that you could do for hours on end, eager to learn more about or improve in? As I said, for me, I started skating because of how it made me feel, that sense of freedom it gave me. And I still skate now for those very same reasons. That's when I'm at my happiest and most confident. By taking part in activities we enjoy doing each day, it will quieten our inner chatter, lift our mood, help us to feel good, and improve our motivation, knowing that each day we have something to look forward to. So I would like you to write down 5 activities that you enjoy doing or are good at. And then next to each thing, I would like you to write down why. Why do you enjoy doing it? Or why are you good at it? What is it about this activity that fills you with happiness? And then reflect. Are you spending enough time doing these activities? If not, how can we increase this in our life? My next top tip is to have an optimistic outlook. It's a lot easier to focus on the negatives in life rather than the positives. But if we can have a glass half full mentality and see the positives in life, then we're going to feel more positive. The year after I won the World Championships, I was right at the top of my career, skating at my very best. And I remember competing in an event in Liverpool. And I was right in the middle of my run. I was about to do a backflip out of one ramp and land in another. And going up to this backflip, I was filled with nerves, filled with anxiety, and I was going too fast. And when I did this backflip, I went too high, overspan, landed on my knee while it was twisted, and I snapped my cruciate ligament, my meniscus, and a lot of the cartilage in my left knee. I had to have reconstructive surgery, which meant I was off my skates for a full year. And I remember really struggling at this time in my life. I'd skated my whole life. It was one thing I was so passionate about, and all of a sudden it had been taken away from me. I was really down in the dumps. I didn't know what to do. I lost my sense of purpose. And I spent several months just lost. And it was during this time when I began to realise the importance of mindset. Could I change what had just happened to me? No. Was worrying or stressing about it going to make me feel any better? No. In sport, we have a term called control the controllables. Worry about things that are in your control, and if it isn't in your control, then let it go. I knew I had to do something about my situation. So I decided to use this time off my skates to build my speaking story, develop my mentoring skills, my presentation skills, and I started to get into the line of work that I'm involved with now. And looking back, I'm actually so happy that that injury took place, because it's turned into the fantastic career that I've got now. So what's the message there? Well, if we perceive a negative situation to be negative, then it's going to be just that. By viewing a failure as a failure, then that's exactly what it will be. Can we reframe those tough times as a learning experience? A chance for us to learn a new skill, become a better person, grow and develop, try something new. Can we view that negative situation as a positive and have an optimistic outlook? If so, you will attract more positivity into your life. Remember, you can't change the fact that highly stressful events happen in life. We have no control over that. But you do have control in how you respond to these situations. Look for ways to adapt to the changes, to practice to be patient, and think about what you can learn from the experience instead. Now think of a mistake that you may have made in the past. Maybe a failure you experienced. What did you learn about yourself as a result of this? My third top tip is to embrace challenge and failure. Challenge can make us stronger, it can make us more resilient. but only if we choose to adopt the right mindset. For me, growing up in a male-dominated sport, I was often laughed at for being a girl, told that this was a boys' sport and it wasn't for girls like me. And sometimes in competitions, the judges would even refuse to watch me skate and show me no recognition because I was a girl, often placed me at the bottom of the pack. Even when trying to turn professional, I was told I was too young or too small. It was easy to think that there was always something or someone trying to hold me back from achieving my goals. And it would have been really easy to give up during these challenging times. However, I truly believe that these tough times in life are there to teach us a lesson. And if we let them, and that is key, they can help us to become more mentally tougher, more creative, and more successful if we're willing to adapt and learn from these challenges. Every time somebody laughed at me for being a girl, or put me down, or told me I wasn't good enough, all it did was develop this fire in my belly, this burning motivation to go away and work so hard to prove them wrong, to show people that I can do this. No one is going to put any limits on my capabilities. And this resilient mindset that I adopted, I didn't just use in sport, I've tried to use it every single day in my life, in my job, in my personal life, to help me be the best I can be. So don't forget, with adversity comes opportunity and a chance for us to grow, develop and learn and become a better person. These tough times can present chances for us to learn new skills or uncover unrealised strengths we never knew we had. We can then use these skills in other areas of life when things settle down. Think of a challenging situation that you have faced in life. What positives did you take away from this? Try and think of 3. My next tip is to have goals and to visualise your goals. There are many benefits to goal setting that anyone can attain if done correctly. Goals provide direction, help to clarify what is important to us, improve focus, and are a powerful motivator by giving us something to hope for and aspire towards. However, it's important that our goals are clear and measurable, and we have a specific action plan to help us to achieve each goal. To help us with this, using an effective goal setting strategy such as SMART will increase our chances of success and provide feedback on your progress. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time-bound. Is your goal specific enough? Do you know exactly what it is that you want to achieve? Is it measurable? How will you know once you've achieved that goal? What will the outcome look like? Is it achievable for you, given your circumstances? And with that, is it realistic? Do you think at some point in the future it is something that you could go on to achieve? And finally, is it time-bound? By which point do you want to achieve that goal by? This will help you to keep on track and improve your focus. Turn to your workbook and set yourself a goal. This might be a short-term goal, such as helping your parents or carers around the house more. Or it might be more of a long-term goal, such as going to university. This is your goal, so make sure it's personal to you. Pop your goal in the top right-hand corner of your worksheet. You will then see 4 speech bubbles that lead up to your goal. These represent the steps that you need to take to achieve that goal. So starting from today, what is it exactly that you need to do to help you get to that goal? Underneath these steps, I want you to think of the challenges you might face, the barriers. These are represented by hurdles. What are the tough times you might encounter, the things that you need to overcome to help you get towards that goal? Have a think and spend a few moments writing this down. Ensure that your goal and each step on your action plan is SMART. Now stick this goal setting sheet up on your bedroom wall or even your bathroom door. It's important that we look at our goals daily. The more we can visualise our goals and see them in our mind's eye, the more likely they are to become a reality. By visualising our goals, this will increase our motivation and help to give us confidence and focus. I've got a short activity for you now to show you how powerful visualisation can be.
Stand in a fixed position, lift your right arm and point your index finger. Twist around to your right as far around as you can go. Notice where you reach and what you are pointing at. Next, with your feet remaining in the same spot, close your eyes and imagine yourself twisting 2 centimetres further. Next, imagine yourself twisting 10 centimetres further. And what about 30 centimetres? Can you visualise yourself twisting a whole 30 centimetres, a whole ruler's width further, seeing it in your mind's eye? Once you've managed to see this, open your eyes. Repeat the activity, twisting around to your right.
Did you go further? I know I did. It's amazing. Why do you think this was? Our mind expected it because we visualised it first. Mental preparation through visualisation follows the same neural connections in our brain as those that are activated when we physically do that same thing. So by mentally creating and rehearsing a positive mental experience, it enhances our ability to achieve a successful outcome in real life. Now remember, these goals can evolve and change day to day, but are a great visual representation of the specific things you are working towards. If you like, try creating a vision board and hang it on your bedroom wall. Cut out and compile different pictures from magazines of the different goals you're working towards. Tick off every time you manage to achieve something on your vision board. And don't forget to look at it daily. Having a visual representation of your progress and achievements is a great daily motivator. Also, to motivate you even more, you may want to commit publicly by sharing your goals with friends and family, or even on social media. Not only will this create a support system, it will help you to feel more accountable for achieving your goals. So after this session finishes, feel free to take a photo of your goal and post it on Snapchat, Instagram, or any other social media platform that you use, and let your friends and followers know what you're up to. My next tip is to take care of yourselves. In my other videos I discuss the importance of self-kindness and self-compassion, and how by making positive choices we can improve how we feel. Every time you think negatively, can you stop yourself and turn those negative thoughts into positive ones? Can we take time out of our days to be grateful, to think about the things that we appreciate in life, even the small things? Can we take part in activities and things that are making us feel good? Are we exercising, eating healthily, drinking enough water and getting adequate sleep? All these things will improve your mood, so ensure you're paying attention to your own needs and feelings and make healthier choices if you notice your mood is low. I know that if I'm not feeling great, I need to get out and exercise. Those negative feelings inside for me will just build and build and build, and they've got to come out somehow. And exercise is a great way for getting rid of those stresses, those worries, those anxious feelings, and because of the endorphins that you experience too, it will leave you feeling happier. Taking care of yourself helps to keep the mind and body primed for when we need to deal with situations that require resilience. Finally, use your support network. Reach out to friends and family and use their support when you need it. By connecting with others during tough times, it can help to reduce anxiety, reduce depression, help to regulate our emotions and improve self-esteem, therefore improving our health. What have you done this week to take care of yourself? Write it down in your workbook. My final tip is to develop a routine and daily rituals. It's important to develop daily rituals that will keep you inspired and moving forward toward your goals. These rituals can differ greatly from person to person, so do some experimenting and find out what works for you. You may find that a 15-minute jog in the morning helps to clear your mind and improves your outlook for the day ahead. You may choose to read a chapter of your book before bedtime to help you sleep better. Or it might be as simple as waking up 15 minutes earlier to eat a healthy breakfast before you go to school. Or even lighting a candle before bedtime to help you relax. Whatever daily ritual you choose, make sure that it encourages peacefulness and happiness. If you're happy and relaxed, you're more likely to be motivated. What daily rituals could you adopt to feel happier and help you in achieving your goals? To make it through the tough times, it requires resilience and motivation. It requires that we pay attention to ourselves, our needs and emotions, set goals, and do the things that make us happy. What's great is that nobody is born with either of these traits, and both can be developed over time with a little bit of focus and effort. So all of us can become more motivated and more resilient if we're willing to put steps in place to work towards this. What matters is that we try to do something each day, no matter how small, to bring us closer to our goals. So as a result of this session, I would like to know one thing that you're going to do differently to increase your motivation and build your resilience. Thank you so much for listening to me, and good luck everybody in achieving your goals. Remember, believe you can and you will. Take care. Bye for now.
Hi everyone, my name is Craig Brown. I'm the founder and CEO of an amazing company called Rage Fitness Company. Give us a follow on social media, it's worthwhile. I'm going to speak to you about improving aspirations, building resilience, and finding out who you are through fitness. Fitness improved my life massively, and sometimes I say it saved my life. My background isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and I'm here to discuss and prove no matter where you come from, you can achieve great things. So far, Rage Fitness has supported over 40,000 people across the Northwest with their physical, mental and emotional well-being. So a bit more information about me, my background and what I've been doing over the last 31 years of my life. My mum and dad absolutely loved me to pieces, but unfortunately they didn't have a lot of money. So my background and my upbringing was on the poverty line. We didn't have food every day, so we went days without food. We didn't always have running hot water, so from day to day, you didn't always have a shower or a bath. But I believe that built something inside of me. It built a drive, it built determination to take myself away from that life and ultimately, if ever, to have a family of my own and supply the lifestyle that I didn't have. Supplying a lifestyle sounds dramatic for some. And this day and age, a lot of people don't see what other lifestyle is like. So you've probably always had a meal when you're hungry. You could always get a Mars bar if you wanted to, or whatever you wanted, you've got. For me, I didn't have that, and I went without. I'm not saying poor me, but I am saying is that I've been built from adversity. I believe my background has helped me be where I am today. And if I didn't have it, I don't think I would be anywhere near as what people call the successful. My ambition for Rage Fitness is to be in every single city across the UK. Some people go, it's a bit far-fetched, but that's what I believe, because I've been at the lowest, not having a meal every day, not having a shower every day, living in a cold house for 15 years. That sets something inside you, and I'm trying to influence you to have that mental state as well also. So fast forward a little bit to my late teens and early 20s. I was always in trouble with the police. I was in a gang culture. I was always committing crimes. I think coming from a deprived area, it's easy to say it's my upbringing. And I do put it down to that a little bit. My parents and myself was always having arguments, which wasn't fun. And I was seeing them as the root cause. Now I know they're trying to do everything for me. So we made a decision, either be another statistic or improve my life. I decided to enroll at a college, which was basically a level 2 fitness qualification. And then I went from there. I went up to level 2, level 3, level 4. And now I run my own successful, what people say, fitness company. As mentioned before, we improve the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of communities across the UK. But how do we do that? So before we go into more detail about Rage Fitness Services and all the things that we do across the Northwest, I thought it'd be a good idea to explain how Rage Fitness came about. So in 2018, I was made redundant from my job and I was moping around the house for 3 months. Again, this is a setback, but with my determination and resilience, I decided to change my circumstances with the help and support of my partner, Charlotte. She encouraged me to go back into the fitness industry and work for myself. I think she was fed up of me sitting around the house, to be fair. So then fast forward to now, what do? We have our own Wellbeing Centre, which is a glorified gym. Why is it glorified? We don't just do fitness. We work with multiple partners, NHS, Public Health England, and also local and national government. For a fitness company to do that in the space of 3 years is absolutely unheard of, even if I do say so myself. We've worked hard at building strong relationships to ultimately improve the well-being of communities across the Northwest. So yes, we've got our own centre in Chester, but we have 15 services across the Northwest, virtually and also face-to-face. We have our school portal that is in 115 schools that it supports the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of children. By the way, that's free for all schools to sign up to, so more than welcome to go onto our website, reach out for more information. We also have a Calm Coffee shop, which is basically a drop-in service for people to improve their mental well-being. Come in for a chat, have a coffee, have a natter, and just relax. We also deliver 5 services around the physical well-being of children and adults, and 5 services for the mental and emotional well-being of children and adults. That's combined with the NHS support work that we do with over 50 GP surgeries. Building strong connections with NHS, Public Health England is no easy task. It takes hours of work, proving that you can do the job that you say you're going to do, and actually delivering. We've been doing that for the last 3 years, and it's paying off. Now the national government are talking with us and also moving into potentially the northeast of England and also into London and potentially Scotland on a couple of projects with virtual offers and also face-to-face delivery. With the pandemic that's gone on, we've reevaluated what we want to do, get back to our core value of improving lives, and I think we are doing an amazing job year to date. Moving forward, for myself, a lad from Anfield, to be working across the Northwest as it stands, then potentially in the Northeast, then into London and Scotland, as I mentioned, I could never imagine I'll be in this position. But because of my determination, my desire to succeed, and ultimately help as many people as I can do, I've got to this point. I'm not one to sit on my laurels, though. I'm not going to sit here and expect things to come to me. Every day, I work 16, 17 hours a day. Yes, I've got a vision and I've got a mission, but what you need to identify is, what is your mission? What do you want to achieve? You might not know what your mission is, and you might not know what path to take. I know at your age I didn't, and that's probably not the best advice to give everybody. But what I truly believe in is the self-improvement all the time. Every single day I speak to hundreds of people about self-improvement, and my message is always the same. Do something you hate every day. That means not everybody likes exercising, not everybody likes apples, not everybody likes water, not everybody likes meditation, and nobody really enjoys eating vegetables. I know I don't. Why am I speaking about this when we're talking about improving aspirations and trying to find the right career path? To improve yourself, you have to improve internally. Every single day I meditate. People laugh at that. When you look at me, I don't look like a person who meditates. I do yoga every day, and I obviously do exercise. I recommend doing roughly 45 minutes of exercise a day. Either that, go for a walk, lift some weights, go on a run, whatever you're into. Once you continually do that and you start to improve your diet, you start to meditate and you start doing yoga, your brain has time and energy to focus on what you really want to do. That either be going on the right course, applying for the right job, and conducting yourself in the right manner. Over the past 5 to 10 years, I've been continually developing myself, and I will continue to develop myself. No one is the finished article. So my message to you for this video is to improve yourself, and that will ultimately help and guide you to the correct career path. Finally, I'd just like to say thank you. I appreciate your time and energy spent listening to me. I think I've been rambling on for 8 minutes. I hope I've helped in some way. If you have any questions about any of the services that we do across the Northwest, please get in touch. Our website is ragefitnesscompany.com. We are on almost every social media channel. Just search Rage Fitness Company. Our page is the logo that's on my chest and the one behind me. And I hope to speak to you all soon. Thank you for listening.
Hi everyone, my name is Jess and I work for Higher Horizons Plus, and your session today with me is all about goals and goal setting. So, what do we mean by goals? You might have come across phrases such as squad goals or relationship goals, or equally education and career goals. So basically, a goal is something that we want to achieve for ourselves. It's something personal, and the results of that goal or the outcome will have a positive impact on your life. So in order to achieve a goal, you might need to create a plan. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. And most importantly, you need to stick to it. So a little bit like this picture here in this slide, some goals can seem maybe slightly out of reach. They might even think that you can't actually achieve them. But with the right equipment, with hard work, and more importantly, consistency, goals really can be achieved. So when it comes to goal setting, obviously we need to establish what is your goal. Could it be that you need to achieve a certain grade? Is the goal to get into university or onto a course? Is it to have a particular career? That would be what we call a long-term goal. Is it as simply something like you want to lift a certain amount of weight in the gym? Is your goal a change in your attitude towards something? So a new perspective on things, maybe trying to be more positive about things or working harder towards something? Or is your goal simply something like decorating a room? So you may have come across SMART goal setting. Now, this is something that is talked about a lot, but not always gone into great detail of. So I'm going to try and break it down for you a little bit. But as you can see here, each letter stands for something in the word SMART. So we've got S for specific, M is measurable, A is achievable, R is realistic, and T is your time frame. So what I want you to do is remember that SMART goal setting. And I am actually going to use the example of decorating your room in terms of setting your goals and achieving them. So let's say, for example, you wake up one morning and you have the idea of, I'm going to decorate my room today. And I would quite like it to be blue. Okay, so we've got up nice and early. We're all ready, energized, ready to go to decorate our room. Okay, so first of all, we need to go get supplies. But what we realise once we're at that DIY store is that there are a lot of supplies to get when it comes to decorating a room. So you obviously need your paint, and we haven't really decided on a particular shade. I just know I want it to be blue. So let's pick one and hope for the best. Okay, I need some sheets to cover my furniture. I need brushes. I might need some cleaning solution if there's some dirty marks. We need tape so we can line the edges. I need a tray and a roller to pour the paint in. And then I realised I probably spent a little bit more money than I thought I was going to, and spent a lot longer in the DIY store than I planned. So then we get back and we think, oh, I'm going to need to prep the room. But if you're anything like me, you might have quite an energetic dog or some other responsibilities, and you don't really want the dog running around the room. So we take the dog for a walk, so when we get back, we're nice and tired, or the dog is at least, and we can paint the room in peace. I'm going to get back from my dog walk and I'm going to be pretty hungry. I've spent most of my morning in the DIY shop and walking the dog. Let's have some lunch. And then you might get to the point where you actually do prep the room. So you put your tape down, your dust sheets down, you wash any dirty marks off the walls. and we get the chance to do all the edges around the room. Little decorating tip for you there, guys. I've done a lot of that during lockdown. Paint the edges first and then you fill in the middle of the wall. So we start to do that. And then honestly, all of that takes so much longer than you think that we start to get hungry again. It's tea time. We're ready to cook a bit of dinner, sit with our family and have a little bit of time away from decorating. So what I end up with, I woke up that morning totally energetic with the idea that I was going to decorate and transform my room within a day. And actually, I've now just got half a decorated room and I feel a little bit down about it. My goal that I'd set myself, it's not been achieved. I might even feel like I've failed slightly. So what we need to actually do is think about what our goal is and make it smart, as I mentioned before. So specific, what is our goal? To decorate the room. However, in advance, I have gone to the store, I've picked out some samples and I have chosen the right one for me. Okay, measurable. So obviously we can measure this goal because one day it will be a different colour and then the next day it will be ocean blue. I can also make sure that I've set aside the day with no other tasks at hand. So I know that that day of decorating, or however long it takes, is dedicated purely to decorating my room. Is it achievable? Of course it is, because we have been prepared and we are ready. So I may have watched some tutorials on decorating hints and tips. I know exactly the colour I want and I have got all the equipment that I need ready to do it. Of course it will be realistic because we've prepped the room, we have knowledge of decorating, and importantly, I have set aside a realistic time frame. You might even want 3 or 4 days. So, that includes getting the samples, picking the colour, purchasing all the correct equipment, prepping the room, and even possibly giving myself 2 days so I'm not rushing it. And what I end up with there is a goal that I wanted to change the colour of my room and transform it. I have given myself something achievable to do. I've had a proper plan in place. And by the end of it, I'm going to feel like I've really accomplished something and I've done it properly as well. So, sorry to bore you with my decorating story there. As I say, I've done a lot of that during lockdown. But it did make me think. And you can translate this to achieving grades as well. So let's have a look at this. So in terms of achieving a grade, we're at a certain grade now and we need to know where we want to be. So that goal is quite specific. I'm here and now I want to be here. So in terms of measuring that, how can we do that? Well, first of all, we need to acknowledge exactly where we're at with our grade, where we struggle and areas where we need to improve. So really be honest with yourself and make note of that. You can do things like mock exams or past test papers as well to expand your knowledge. And even once you test yourself over and over again, if those grades are improving, that's how we can measure it. Is it achievable? Of course it is. But like anything, the work has to be put in. We have to focus, which I, of all people, know it is harder done than said. But that is what it takes. And again, it's realistic. If we give ourselves a realistic time frame, so create that study schedule, how often you're going to concentrate on those areas that you're struggling in, then we will definitely be able to achieve it. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a few hints and tips just to expand on that a little bit more. So as I mentioned before, you really need to acknowledge the areas that you would like to improve on. It's really easy to leave that till last, but what I would say is pick those areas that you're struggling with the most and concentrate on them first. And that does take a level of being really honest with yourself as well. So have a look, where are your grades not as good as the others? Ask for help. I'm putting that there twice because not everybody asks for help. They tend to close off a little bit, especially in areas where they are struggling. But you have teachers and support staff and people around you that are willing and wanting to help you. Create yourself a study schedule. Now, within that schedule, I would suggest taking regular breaks, because if you take regular breaks, when you come back, you're feeling a bit more refreshed and all that information is going to go in much easier. Get away from your work area, do something else, and for a lot of people, maybe playing on video games is a bit of chance to relax. But what I would also suggest is get yourself away from a screen, get outside in the fresh air, maybe do a little bit of exercise, cook yourself a meal maybe, get away from a screen, because once you turn your brain off from looking at a screen, as I said before, when you go back, you'll be feeling way more refreshed. You can even get yourself a study buddy, so somebody else that may be feeling the same. I always find it that when I share with somebody that I'm struggling with something, more often than that, they're struggling as well. So it's really nice to know that, everybody will always have an area that they don't find as easy as other areas. So get yourself a study buddy, encourage each other, be a good influence. Do not choose somebody that distracts you. And do you know what? In this time at the moment, it seems like we're studying forever. There's always going to be something to work towards. But in terms of getting the grades that you want, it's not going to be forever. So it will soon be over. So make the most of this time. Make the most of your teachers, of the resources, of access to things that will help you improve that grade. So a lot of goals can be really overwhelming. So it's really, really important to not only make your goals smart, but to break it down so you don't feel overwhelmed and that it's unachievable. So for example, can I run a marathon? Absolutely not. But, I might be able to run a marathon if I trained. So if I look at this big goal that's ahead of me, much like that mountain, so if I look at a goal that is to run a marathon or to run without stopping for 3 hours, or that I want long distance running to be a hobby of mine that I just do automatically, that to me personally is so overwhelming. If I was to leave the house now in a pair of trainers and try and achieve that, it would not happen. So what I have to do is look at my long-term goal and break it down into short-term and medium-term. So for example, with the marathon running, my short-term goal as somebody that does not run at all, it might be that I want to go on light jogs 2 to 3 times a week. So I'm putting in the time and the effort. And also I might jog for 10 minutes and walk for 5. Jog for 10, walk for 5. That's got nothing to do with running for 3 hours straight. That's my short-term goal. So if I keep that up, I can then move on to my medium-term goal, which might be, regular training as part of a natural routine within the week. So I finish work for the day, the trainers go on, I go for a run. I might even up it. It's science, it's natural. The more we practice or do something, the better we get at it, particularly with running. So I might then be at the point where I'm running for 30 to 40 minutes, just shy of an hour without stopping. And then part of that medium-term goal might be that I can increase the time I run for without stopping by a certain amount. Once I've done that short term and that medium term, the long term goal doesn't seem that overwhelming. And I can't stress enough, you will not achieve that long term goal without consistency, without being slightly strict with yourself, and without making it something that is regular. If I try and run a marathon now, it's not going to happen. If I run 3 or 4 times a week, every day, every week for a year, I might be able to run a marathon. And again, I'm going to translate that to your educational goals. So let's have a look, for example, on this table. So as you can see in the right-hand side column, our long-term goal is to increase grades and possibly get to maybe university or on another course or on an apprenticeship, whatever that goal is, that's our long-term goal. You might even have a longer term goal. I want to be a vet or a doctor or an engineer. So let's have a look at that long term goal and break that down. So we go all the way back to our short term goal. So I need to acknowledge the areas that I need support in. I need to be honest with myself, create a study schedule, and pick up good habits that will help me along this way. So, for example, not playing video games or being distracted. And I need to ask for help. All those things, they're very small little things that we can do, but it is a goal. It's a short-term goal. Once I've picked up all those good habits and I've got my schedule, I've asked for help and I'm getting regular support and I'm studying more regularly, I move on to my medium-term goal. So studying regularly becomes habit and it becomes natural. I start to practice mock exams or past papers. I continue to ask for help, and I might even have a study buddy at this point. What you'll notice is if you add up that short-term and medium-term goal, the long-term goal will sort itself out. It will just be a result of those other goals that we've achieved. And I'll just end on something like this. It's a bit of a cliche, but I love the idea of using an iceberg. What you see on top is just the surface. And as you can see underneath the surface, there's a mound of work behind it. So you might see professionals or people that seem like they've got their whole life together, somebody that's gone to university, but just know that if somebody makes something look easy, it's because they've worked so hard at doing that. Take somebody that does run a marathon, they make it look easy. They've run a marathon in 3.5 hours. They will have done that whole under the surface iceberg worth of effort behind it in order to achieve it. So nothing actually comes natural to anybody. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. The most important thing you can do is acknowledge where you need a little bit of help, be consistent and work towards that goal because it can be achieved. So I really hope you found that useful today. As I said, my name is Jess, and if you need to reach out to me or any member of the Higher Horizons Plus team, please do. We can be reached at higherhorizons.co.uk/ask. And if you've got any questions today in the live chat, please do pop it in. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay from Alter Higher. My session today is focused on how to stay motivated in a pandemic, which is quite a topic. I am not going to pretend at any point today that the world's peachy and if we all stick post-it notes with smiley faces around our laptops, we'll all be super motivated and feel great about life. Because at the end of the day, things are pretty difficult at the moment. I'm naturally fairly cynical, so it may seem a little bit weird for me to be thinking so much about motivation. But what I do really enjoy is a bit of psychology, finding out what makes people tick. And so today we are going to think about the situation we're in at the moment and some of the kinds of techniques and lessons that we can take from some psychological experiments and think about how we can apply them day to day to help to stay motivated and to get somewhere at the end of this entire crazy time. So first of all, let's have a think about where we are at the minute. It's 338 days now since the first lockdown began. I think by this point we are way past the initial excitement of clapping on doorsteps and it being a bit of a novelty. And I've definitely noticed in this lockdown that people are just a bit more fed up. from the students that I speak to every week or two, I've noticed that they're just getting really fed up, and it's getting harder and harder to, engage with college work and think about the future and uni or apprenticeships, whatever may be coming next. And that's really why I've put this session together. Not to be all, yay, everything's fabulous, let's have a cheerleading session, but to think about where we're at, what it's like to be going through this at the moment, and to think about some of the things that you can do to get through. Yeah, some of the things that you can think about when it all gets a bit rough or you're finding it hard to get going. Yeah. So you have really got to give yourself credit, because over that time you will have learned to study from home. You may be thinking about how your next step could be looking a bit more uncertain. You don't know exactly how that's going to look, whether it's going into work or uni or whatever. It may not be exactly how you've pictured it. You've had to deal with so much change, and we've all had to get used to doing things like this, to Zooming, to doing everything online, to watching YouTube videos instead of being in the classroom, So it's been a crazy old time, and I think the first thing that we need to do to think about how to motivate ourselves through it is to think about where we are at the minute. So this is something called the blob tree. It's used in all kinds of settings, this, but it's really useful for thinking about where you're at, how you're feeling at this moment. Now, if you're anything like me through lockdown, it can be a real kind of roller coaster of emotions. I know there's some days when I've felt, actually, yeah, this is great. I get a lot more quiet time. I can have a bit more of a chill. All is well. I'm not rushing around trying to, go out for lunch in this place and then whiz over here to do that, dashing around. Other days, it's boring, it's hard, it feels like it's never going to end. And so this blob tree is basically people feeling in all kinds of different emotions, really. So there's some days you might feel like the guy at the top of the tree, right in the middle, hands on hips, kind of, yeah, this is all right, this is fine. Other days you might feel like that one is falling off at the side. It can really, really change. So have a look at this. Think about kind of where you are at the moment, where you want to be, how you feel some days. A lot of these pictures are kind of the little blob people interacting with one another, and I think that's something that we've also missed. I think there's definitely days when we all just need a bit of a hug to get through it all, and it's definitely worth acknowledging that, because we have been through a lot. Everyone has over the past year. So one of the things that I want you to think about first is kind of what we tell ourselves, almost like the excuses that you make for yourself when you're not feeling particularly motivated. I know the example I always think of to kind of illustrate this phenomenon is someone being late. Yeah, so if ever I've been late for something, I hate being late, but if ever I've been late, I've kind of thought, well, it's because that traffic jam was just horrendous, or it's because something happened, like my little boy threw up in the car or something like that. Yeah, but if you ask the person that I was meant to meet for lunch or whatever, that'd be nice in these days, wouldn't it? But whoever you're meant to meet is way more likely, instead of thinking, oh, that's down to the situation that person was in, they're way more likely to think it's to do with your traits, yeah? To do with something inside you as a person that makes you late. And it's a bit judgy in a way. It's this tendency of humans to think, right, well, I did that because of these circumstances, but they did that because of who they are. That's part of them. And I suppose what I'm trying to say about this in the pandemic is, yeah, the world is rubbish. You could look at endless circumstances as to why you're feeling unmotivated. But ultimately, at the end of it, you're going to be judged on how you responded to all of those challenges. Yeah? By judged, I don't mean in a kind of, someone shouting at you or anything like that or being mean to you. What I mean is the results that you get from college, the applications that you've put out there, how you've dealt with it. And that's harsh, but the reality is it's about thinking what you want to get out of this situation. Who do you want to be at the end of it to make sure that you can move on from this place that you're in at the moment? Yeah. And I think it is really important to make positive choices for yourself, for all of us to make positive choices. And I kind of want to show you the importance of sticking at something and staying positive, not just in a kind of woohoo, everyone's happy way, but in a more kind of scientific way. Looking at successful people, what makes them successful? Yeah, what makes some people, I suppose, luckier than others. So that's what we're going to do now, is have a think about some of this. So firstly, we're going to play a bit of a game of Guess Who with successful people. These are all famous people. I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, this is, Dave from year 13. These are famous people. So this first one is someone who got what he described as humbling A-level results. I think it was something like B, C, D, E. I think they were all very sequential. And he'd been expected to do really well at A-level because he got 6 A stars, 3 A's and 5 B's in his GCSEs, which are decent results, aren't they? So yeah, he didn't do as well as he hoped in his A-levels and realised that he needed to get his act together. Any guesses? Stormzy. So yeah, he did all right in the end. After, he had a word with himself and sorted things out after he realised he wasn't getting to where he wanted to be. Next one. Designed 5,126 failed prototypes of vacuum cleaners over 15 years and spent all of his savings. There's a big clue in this one. You may have guessed that it's James Dyson. I quite enjoy this one because I just love the idea of, meeting someone in the pub and saying, oh, what do you do, what's your job kind of thing, and them telling you that they've made 5,000 failed vacuum cleaners in their shed. You'd just be kind of like moving away from them, wouldn't you? And yet, because he stuck at it, despite being really quite mad, if you think about it in those terms, he's been incredibly successful on the back of it. That's some amount of resilience. This is someone who had a failed legal career, so had to move back in with his mother because his career just went totally wrong. He then opened a restaurant which shut down, and he had to live on $105 a month. That's the clue, actually, American. It's somebody from quite historic by this point. It's quite a while ago. But you would definitely recognise the face. There's the clue. It's Colonel Sanders, who invented KFC and sold the franchise worldwide and made quite a lot of money out of it. Although apparently he died with not that much because he hadn't invested it very well. This is someone who started their career at a point when she describes herself as being as poor as it's possible to be in modern Britain without being homeless. There's all kinds of stories about how she used to write in coffee shops to stay warm because she couldn't afford to keep the heating on. There's a bit of a clue there about writing. And it's J.K. Rowling, who also did fairly well, really. So these are all pretty successful people. And what I want you to take from looking at all of these setbacks that they've faced and where they've come from is the fact that these people aren't just born naturally lucky, yeah? It's not just about being fortunate or having particularly strong circumstances. Of course that comes into it, of course it does, but luck is a very interesting thing. I love looking at any kind of study into this. The university I used to work at was linked with a psychologist called Richard Wiseman, who was amazing to sit down and have a chat to. He was obsessed with luck and what made people lucky. He did an experiment where he put an advert in the paper and said, do you consider yourself particularly lucky or unlucky? If so, come forward and we'll have a chat about it. We want to understand luck. And a few interesting things happened, really. First of all, the people that considered themselves lucky or unlucky didn't particularly have different circumstances. Yeah, the situations they described were more to do with how they described them. So the example he gives is, if you are in the queue at a bank and armed robbers break in and you get shot in the arm, are you lucky or unlucky? Now, for some of you, you may think, hang on a minute, this is really obvious. What would happen in that kind of situation is the people who considered themselves lucky would say, I was incredibly lucky because I could have been shot in the head or the heart, but it only caught my arm. And actually, I survived. I'm doing good. Yeah, I was really, really lucky. Whereas the people that were considered themselves unlucky would say, of all the places I could be in the world, and I happened to be in that bank on that day and get shot. Yeah. And no matter what the situation was, they would take those perspectives on it. What he also found that was really interesting was when these people came in for a chat, they would be given a newspaper or a magazine to flick through. And on one of the pages there would be an advert that said, if you see this, tell the researcher and they'll give you £100. Now, the people who considered themselves lucky, who classed themselves as lucky, were way more likely to see that advert than the people who said that they were unlucky. And he did this a few times with all different things, like meeting people in coffee shops, and they'd walk over a £20 note to come and meet him if they considered themselves unlucky, and then moan about how nothing good ever happened to them because they simply weren't looking for those opportunities. And I love this idea because there are a few people that you can see and you think they really are just lucky. But what those studies suggested was that if you consider yourself lucky, you're way more likely to see those opportunities. Not only that, you're more likely to be a positive, engaged, friendly person, which means that you're more likely to engage with new people, to make new friends, and to get opportunities that come along with that. Yeah? So I love this approach because I suppose the little cynical side of me thinks, what's the point in thinking positive? You know, if you are diagnosed with cancer, then thinking happy thoughts isn't going to fix you. If you are just really, really unfortunate and have, you know, all kinds of wild accidents, then thinking positive isn't going to help you. What I really love about this approach is that it's a little bit scientific. It shows how there's a process for good things come in when you think positive thoughts. So yeah, considering yourself lucky and deserving of opportunity means that you are more likely to get those opportunities. So of course you need to put the work into. You can't just sit there thinking, I'm going to get an A, I'm going to get an A, I'm going to get an A, and it's going to happen. But what it does is if you believe you're going to get an A and you believe it's a possibility for you and you can picture that and think, yeah, I'm lucky enough to get that. It's not luck, it's hard work. But you are way more likely to dedicate yourself to getting that. If you can see it as possible and dream those dreams, then you're way more likely to get them. Yeah, and that's why I love that approach, despite being a little bit about it as a whole, about being positive and yay. It all seems a bit happy clappy, but I love this approach because it's, yeah, I suppose optimism for cynics. You can see how this process can happen. And it's self-fulfilling prophecy. That's ultimately what it comes down to. If you really believe that you can do something, it is way more likely to happen than if you write it off as completely unachievable. So, to show you what I mean by this, look around you, look around the room that you can see at the moment. I always think helps this one if you can close your eyes just for a couple of seconds. You don't have to. But, you know, you're watching this at home, no one knows, you can close your eyes. When you open them, look for all the light stuff in the room, yeah? All the bright things, the lighter colours, the shiny stuff, yeah? Have a look round, and there's probably way more of it in the room than you thought there was, yeah? You might notice things that you think, oh yeah, that's quite light, there's more going on in there. Then close your eyes again. Now this time when you open up your eyes, I want you to look for all the darker colours, the beiges, all those kind of the colours, yeah, not so much the bright light white stuff. And as you look around the room this time, you can open your eyes now, sorry. I love the thought you all sat there like this. As you open your eyes, you'll see that stuff, yeah, you'll see the dark stuff, and the same is true of life. If you look for the bad stuff, you will absolutely find it. Yeah, if you want to look at the world at the moment and just see all the grim stuff, and there is plenty of it, I'm not going to deny that, you'll see it. But it's also worth having a look around for the good stuff as well. Yeah, look at the people that are still helping each other out. Look at all the people who, you know, have got involved with volunteering in the pandemic, all these kind of amazing things that are going on, and you can find that as well. Yeah. So it's not just about ignoring all the bad stuff, but making sure that you're seeing the good as well. And see the good in yourself. Think about what you know, how you've changed through all of this, how you've developed, and what good stuff there is in your future to look forward to as well. Yeah. Thing is, if you are only looking for the bad stuff, you're way less likely to take any kind of risk. And by risk, I'm not talking about, you know, going into a casino and throwing 200 quid on red. I'm talking about the small little things that we do each day that, if they don't go to plan, can make us feel really bad about ourselves. So it could be submitting an assignment. It could be making a phone call to a stranger and being worried that you're going to say something daft. It could be, oh, I don't know, trying to dial into Zoom thinking, what if I mute myself and it all goes wrong the way it sometimes can. Yeah, these are all these tiny little risks that we have to take. And if you are just looking for the bad and expecting the bad, something called confirmation bias happens, where you see what you're looking for and you don't want to take risks then, because you think you know how it's going to turn out, and you get yourself into these little negative churning thoughts. Yeah. So it can seem easier to put it off, to procrastinate, to not do things, than to take the risk. But if you think back to those people, the Stormzy's, the J.K. Rowlings, where would they be if they never took a chance, if they didn't have that belief in themselves to go and promote what they were doing? Yeah. So it's about resilience, absolutely, about sticking at it and knowing that no matter how many times you face those setbacks, that you can do it. But it's also about being brave enough to take those risks. I see this so much with people who have got really strong grades, but they don't want to apply to the top universities because they think people like them don't do it. And it breaks my heart, because you think, no, you can do it. And the thing that makes me cross is that the world's missing out, because there's all these amazing people like you guys out there who aren't doing this stuff because they're too scared. And ultimately, what have you got to lose, you know? So yeah, submit this stuff, go for it, do it, believe that you can do it, because it really genuinely can change your behaviour and the outcome if you believe it. So if we think about successful people, the people that just naturally do well for themselves, I think we tend to say they're naturally lucky, they're born into a situation that makes it easy for them. And some are, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, you know, multimillionaires don't have it easier. I know, I absolutely get that that's the case. But we believe that people who are successful are good at everything, they constantly work hard, they get everything right, that they've got huge big goals and they know exactly how to get there, and that they focus on their weaknesses and overcome them. Yeah. In reality, when you look at what successful people actually do, they are way more likely to know their own strengths, and find opportunities to use them, to do as much of what they're good at as possible. Whereas I think day-to-day life, we tend to focus on what we're bad at and try and get better at that, rather than really think about what we're great at and find as many opportunities. Now, again, with successful people, it's not just about totally ignoring the things that you're bad at and saying, right, I don't need to develop that at all. But it's very much about kind of just keeping it in check, yeah? About making sure that you're not letting it hold you back. I have definitely done this with maths. I am definitely not the best mathematician in the world. Scraped to C at GCSE. I'm not even to this day quite sure how. But over the years, I've done psychology degrees where I've had to do all kinds of statistical analysis. I've managed departmental budgets and I've somehow got through it. Now, it might have taken me a lot longer to do all the budgets and those kind of things, but I knew what I had to focus on just to get through it and get it done. Did I ever love it? No. Am I ever going to be fantastic in that kind of area? No. But I'm okay with that, yeah? I've learnt how to manage it, how to not let it hold me back, and it's not something I particularly spend much time and energy on, yeah? Whereas I think if you're looking at your situation and just thinking, I can't do this because I'm awful at maths, can't do that because I'm awful at maths, it really holds you back from the things that you are good at, yeah? So it's about working out what you need to do just to keep it in check and then really focusing on the things that you can thrive on, yeah? So if you need a C in maths to get into uni, get that, yeah? Put as much work in as you possibly can to get it, but then also really focus on your strengths and what makes you shine, yeah, instead of letting that one thing sort of weigh on you mentally. It's about being flexible and using that to overcome obstacles, yeah? So I see this all the time, particularly going through things like clearing that I'm going to be talking about over the next couple of days, where you see people who've faced a massive barrier to their dreams. So they want to go to a particular uni, it's been their firm choice and they've not got in. And yet you see people that go into that situation who just absolutely grasp it with both hands and end up coming out with a better offer for a better university than they'd originally gone for, because they've been really positive, stayed calm and acted quickly. So it's about being flexible, about not letting those obstacles get you down. That first rejection, yeah, take it on board, learn what you need to learn from it and then move on from it, yeah. I think the other thing with people that are really successful is they will throw loads of energy into a task, but then also know when to switch off. And it's about having that balance as well. I think there's an idea that if you're going to be a really successful student, for example, you need to study 24 hours a day, or maybe allow a little bit of sleep, but that you should just live in a library and that would make you the dream student. In reality, the most successful students are about focusing on what they're doing in any particular moment. So if you're going to study for an hour, do it, but completely commit to it. Don't just be faffing about on the phone at the same time. Have objectives for what you want to study. Know what you want to get out of that time, yeah? And when you've done it, reward yourself for that and then go and do something that you're going to enjoy a little bit more or that helps you to relax. So it's not necessarily about just doing it incessantly. It's about making that time that you spend doing that activity as effective as possible. A lot of people that are really successful as well have kind of learnt that optimism. It's that lucky thing that I was talking about. They've learnt to spot those opportunities, to look for the good stuff, and that helps them to overcome the bad stuff because they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. They can see what comes next, which is really, really important. Another thing that I think is absolutely crucial is this. So if you want to have the best car out of your group of friends or your neighbours on your street, whatever, you can either do it by getting the best car that you can, making it look super shiny, keeping it lovely and clean all the time, really taking pride in it, or you can make sure that you've got the best car on your street by letting all your neighbours' tyres down, yeah? Now, the most successful people are the ones that take pride in what they've done and try and make theirs the best, rather than taking everyone else down so that they can be the one left shining, you know. So it's about keeping that positivity, about staying focused on the good stuff and not being dragged down and comparing yourself to other people that are going to have different skills, different weaknesses, and not everybody's going to be the same in that way, you know. The other thing is, with the reality of kind of being successful and stuff, I think a lot of people, particularly if you've come from a background that's not necessarily associated with, you know, going and doing amazing things, you can get what's called imposter syndrome. I'm a bit obsessed with this because I think so many students from normal backgrounds have it when they go to university. I know I certainly did. I was the first person in my family to go, and I expected it to be full of people called Tarquin wearing tweed. And I didn't feel like a girl from Highton who was rubbish at maths belonged there. And again, it really frustrates me because there's so many talented, amazing people who deserve way more to be in that situation than someone who's, you know, just grown up with privilege. So yeah, I would definitely say own your achievements. If you've got, you know, grades that you're proud of, they are your grades. Be proud of them. If you have got a place at a particular university and you're thinking, oh my goodness, that is your place. They don't give it to you unless you deserve it. So yeah, seize it, take it by both hands and go with it. And don't be tempted to sort of sabotage it because you feel like you don't deserve it, because you 100% do. Yeah. So yeah, the world is rubbish at the minute, but do what you can to make sure that you're ready to thrive. Focus on your strengths. Make sure you are managing your weaknesses, but not letting that absorb all of your time and energy. Look for as many opportunities as possible to use those skills and to shine. I always think of this in terms of university because of what I do, but there's 50,000 courses out there. If you can find something that you really love doing, that really channels the things that you're good at, then it can just be the most amazing experience. Look for that stuff. So many people don't find it because they don't look at what's out there and don't think those opportunities are for them. I'd say as well, particularly at the minute, find a routine that works for you. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you have to be up at 8 in the morning and, you know, sat there all prim. Go with what works for you. If you study best at 1 a.m, study best at 1 a.m. Go with what works. But try and have a routine, because then you expect to be doing those things, particularly at the moment when days can all blend into one. Oh, I've lost a little bit of my text here, sorry guys, but decide to spot the good stuff. Think of like 3 things each day that are good. And if you can't think of 3 things, go smaller. Yeah, so, you know, I could say, right, 3 things that have gone well today. I had a meeting that was really successful, but some days that doesn't happen. Some days nothing particularly goes on. So my good thing that day might be bought some flowers from the co-op and they were pretty. Yeah, go small. Just spot anything that's made you feel a little bit more positive that day. Yeah. So don't let down your neighbour's tyres. Like I said, if you want to be the best, focus on yourself, focus on being the best, not taking down other people. It absorbs all your energy and it means you're never really going to get to that level of being genuinely great. Yeah. Hope for the big goals, but plan for the small stuff. The most successful people will break down the big dream into really small stuff. Like, okay, so eventually I want to run this company, but tomorrow I'm going to make sure that I achieve my to-do list, which is X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So break it down into those smaller goals, because that way it feels manageable. It feels like you can do it, like it's there, and you'll see how to get there then. And give yourself credit for every achievement. Reflect on the skills that you've developed and think about how you're growing so that you do get that buzz, feeling positive. Some of the things that you might have developed through this mad old year are on the screen now. It's about being brave, about being resilient, about keeping at it You will have developed independent learning while you've not been going into college every day. You'll have learnt to motivate yourself to take part in those lessons, to get that work done. So it really has, it's tested all of us, and give yourself credit for how hard you've come. So hopefully I've given you a few things to think about in those moments when you just can't be bothered because it's all a bit much. But do keep at it. It feels like we're nearly there now. And if you can, just do whatever you can to grow and develop during this time. Then on the other side, no one can take that away from you. Yeah. Own those achievements and go and take over the world. Why not? Thanks very much for listening. I hope it's been a useful session to you, and very best of luck with the rest of your studies and whatever you decide to do next. Make it good stuff. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's Jess here again. Just want to say a big thank you for taking part today, and a big thank you to our speakers. We hope you've enjoyed it and found it useful. Please reach out to us at higherhorizons.co.uk/ask if you have any questions at all. And please do not forget to fill out today's evaluation form using the code word Wednesday. If you've enjoyed today and you would like to join us on Friday, it will be at the same time, and we're going to be looking at your future, university, choices and planning ahead. We hope to see you there.
Thank you to the Higher Horizons team for hosting this extremely important broadcast surrounding staying confident, resilient and positive. And thank you to Jenna and the Higher Horizons team for sharing with us these great tips and tricks and how we can better look after ourselves. If you have any questions for any of our speakers today, please leave them in the live chat, which is next to the video player. Once that has been sent, the teams will answer your questions as soon as possible. Please remember to take some time to fill out the evaluation form. This will help Higher Horizons to find out what else you are wanting to see from them. The code word is Wednesday, so please spend some time filling this out. If you also missed any of our speakers or would like to look back on any of the content from today, please look below the video player where there is the on-demand section. They are available to you, your family and friends 24/7, so please look to your leisure. That's all from us today. This evening at 4 p.m, we have another feature of the Talented Academy series featuring Somerset employers working in various sectors, tonight focusing on education. You won't want to miss it. Remember, stay safe and stay connected.
Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. To type your question, simply click on the chat box. You will then see two symbols appear. The @ symbol will mean your comment or question will be posted publicly for others to see. The email symbol means your comment or question can be sent directly to the person of your choice from the list that will appear. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now, this bit is for the parents, guardians, and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned.